Obviously a newer thing on this channel has been top 10 lists, and because A, a JRPG list is coming sooner rather than later, and B, the Suikoden series will not be featured on that list, I figured I'd get out in front of the questions by making a design philosophy video focused on the genre, which will at the same time explain Suikoden's absence from the eventual list. The one inescapable truth is that JRPGs are still games at the end of the day. I can appreciate a great story when it's there, but while the right story can make a good game great, it can never make a bad game good. I'm not going to sleep through a 20, 30, 40-hour plus slog just to get a good story. This could have been a visual novel is this could have been a text message or email of game design, and this is where Suikoden, especially the first two installments, which are somehow the most highly regarded, lost me. And yes, I'm aware of Suikoden. Suikoden, especially the original, was such an experience points pinata, and the basic attack was so good that you could sleepwalk through most of the experience as long as you spent the potch needed to keep your group geared. As someone who loves breaking open a deep battle system and finding as many ways as possible to exploit it to win battles well above my weight class, that turned the game into a snooze fest. In the simplest terms, the starting point of any good JRPG battle system is to discourage the use of the basic attack function as much as possible, while still keeping it somewhat viable as a survival option in a pinch. Soul Eater Go Brr is no better because it undermines thoughtful application of the combat system even further. Most Saga titles accomplish this by throwing basic attacks out entirely, going with a more Pokemon-like list of unique attacks with distinct properties. Grandia does this by splitting the basic attack function into two options, combo and critical, which can vary wildly in their efficacy depending on the situation. Octopath Traveler does this with the BP system, the guard break system, by having a strong array of free or cheap actions that can be used in place of a basic attack, again depending on the situation, and by having on-the-fly weapon swaps to make you strategically decide what to attack with when you do use a basic attack. Final Fantasy VI was a masterclass in giving you broader combat options worth exploring. Chained Echoes, Trails, Persona, and others all do a very good job of either presenting superior alternatives to basic attacks or otherwise discouraging them as the go-to option, thereby opening up the rest of the battle system for you to explore and enjoy. Now for my part, I've had to do my own share of brainstorming around this problem in the past. Meet Max, a major character in an RPG Maker project I was working on years ago. That project never saw the light of day, but it gave me a great deal of experience in this kind of problem solving. Not having coded anything since high school and having literally no understanding of how to code within RPG Maker, I couldn't make major changes to the battle system to make it more closely meet my vision of what the game would have been, and I was stuck operating within its rather restrictive turn-based system. I cannot emphasize this enough, I still found a way. The first thing I did was cut the damage ratios on all basic attacks by 50% to push people towards spells and techniques. I'm bringing Max up specifically here because he is, clearly when seen in the company of the rest of the project's admittedly caster-heavy party, the big melee combat specialist of the group. Keeping his damage ratios intact would not be in any way unusual considering what he represents as a party member, but I just didn't want to go that route on general principle. I still wanted to do something to present him in a manner consistent with his role in the story and in the dynamic of the party as a whole. In addition to his list of expected resource-consuming techniques, I mostly accomplished this by giving him a second free attack ability that hit for only 80% of his regular attack ratio, so 40% of the quotey fingers regular RPG Maker basic attack, that also has a high probability of canceling the target's turn if Max gets to them first. This is very similar to the critical attack in Grandia, but its implementation in a strictly turn-based game gave it the effect of Max being able to single out a target enemy and effectively fight them one-on-one away from the rest of the party, while not making it a guaranteed containment strategy. It wasn't broken because bosses would often act faster than he could, and had additional segments or adds that would otherwise prevent boss battles from turning into absolute containment scenarios. But it was still extremely effective in standard battles and added a fun nuance in a very limited combat system. In essence, the more limitations the overarching gameplay engine imposes on you, the more of these types of nuances you need to stack on top of each other in order to make the battle system unique and enjoyable. This is how I would have gone about developing a game like Suikoden or Suikoden 2, in addition to cutting experience point distribution down by quite a lot. If you're developing a role-playing game, you're developing a game, and there are no exceptions to the fact that gameplay is king. That was as true back in the mid to late 90s as it is now. Finally, before I sign off, let it be said that Suikoden is far from the only JRPG franchise to draw my ire for this, but the first two games in the series are so unique in their relative critical and audience acclaim, as well as their overall profile in the genre, that they often come up when I need examples of what I particularly dislike about JRPGs. It's just easy to name drop them and have people know exactly what I'm talking about, and those reasons will play into their absence on the upcoming top 10 JRPGs list. That's all for now. If you like this video, then please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, as it all helps grow the channel. Click the notification bell to know right away when the next video drops, I'm Patrick Mifflin, sounding off.